Rogan Report podcast. Check it out.
All things Joe Rogan by day. Rogan Report podcast by night. All day. All night. A half hour to an hour-ish episodes once a week.
The Rogan Report podcast.
All right. Good afternoon, Shane, and welcome to the basement, episode 40 of the Rogan Report.
On this balmy +6 Saturday.
Yeah, very, very nice for an Edmonton winter. We've seen some colder weather than this.
Yeah.
Table of contents. Today we're going to be talking about, on right off the topic, of course, Don Cherry and his big racist attitudes. That's the biggest story of the last week. Maybe some other news. Did you have any other news stories you wanted to talk about?
Just basically that. There was the thing with is it The Social?
Yeah. What was her name? Jess something or other?
Yeah, Jess something or other.
Yeah, she's angry. Doesn't like hockey.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with her and her stance on the situation, but we'll talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Also, I've got a new song that I wrote, and I recorded kind of where I'm at with it right now. I might still be working on it a little bit, but we'll debut it here on the show. So we'll
Sounds
debut
great. Can't
a
wait
brand
to hear
new
it.
song with where it's at right now. I might still change some of the lyrics, but it is what it is. And we just tasted some Proper 12 whiskey along with a few other whiskeys to compare. And so that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did that. Thanks for bringing that bottle in.
Yeah, you betcha.
Shout out to Conor McGregor and Proper 12.
Shout outs to Proper 12.
All right. And then, of course, we'll talk a little bit about JRE. Now, I wanted to talk about maybe the worst guest Joe has had on in recent memory, Pete Dominic.
Yeah.
And then, of course, maybe my favorite episode of the year, Malcolm Gladwell, 1383.
So good.
That was a fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't know he's Canadian, actually.
I didn't know that
Until
either.
they started talking. I was like, oh, shit, Malcolm Gladwell's Canadian?
I've listened to a couple audiobooks by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, super famous, and they've talked a lot about him on the, Outliers being a big one.
Yeah.
He's the one that kind of came up with that. You need to put in the 10,000 hour theory, right? I think
so.
that was in that Outliers book. And then, what was that other really famous book that he had? What's the other one that you've listened to?
Shit, I don't know why I can't remember them all now, but as we're talking here, I'm going to pull them up.
Yeah, he's written like a dozen books. He's written a lot.
Usually I come prepared with notes, and this time I'm not prepared with notes.
Yeah, his new book that they talked a lot about was Talking to Strangers. That was a fascinating conversation.
Yeah, totally. I was definitely into that.
Anyways, I
And I
guess.
haven't listened to Talking to Strangers, but I'm definitely going to.
Oh, The Tipping Point. That was the other big one.
Blink. That was a big one. That was actually
did you listen
the
to
first
Blink?
book I ever read.
I don't know
listened to.
Blink.
It is Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's about slowing things down
Yeah.
when you're trying to slow your thoughts down. They talked about that on the episode.
Yeah.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. This is just the table of contents right now.
Yeah. Getting deep on subject.
So maybe some UFC talk as well.
Yeah.
Like we had a UFC party here at my house, watched 243, or no, was it 244 at my house?
44, yeah.
And then we can maybe do a little bit of some picks for 245 upcoming.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Sounds good, man.
And then Joe jokes at the very end.
I mean, I don't have a Joe joke today.
God damn it, Shane!
I forgot about Joe jokes. Do you have a good one this week?
No, I have a terrible one.
Okay.
But you're supposed to write. You're not supposed to write good ones. You're supposed to write terrible
I
ones.
know. I
And
forgot
then
about the Joe
maybe
jokes.
the progression will come that they'll be good by the end of our. I don't know.
I would hope.
I don't
Because
wanna
I've
say
been
the end of
thinking
the show
about trying
because-
stand-up comedy forever. And, this is like what stand-up comedians hate. They hate it so much when they hear people like, yeah, I think I could do it. It sounds
Yeah.
good.
Totally.
I think I'm funny.
I make my friends laugh.
Yeah, totally.
Very different. Yeah, I
Yeah,
make my friends laugh too, but it's very different to go
I
up in
have
front of
made my friends laugh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do on like a regular
Oh,
basis.
I've laughed at you.
But what's funny though is Joe talks about that all the time. He's not naturally funny, he says. Uh-oh.
That's my
It
that's my
sounds
song.
nice. It's real pleasant.
It's coming. I didn't know that the. Hold on here. What am I doing?
I almost want to roll with it.
You want to just listen to it now?
Yeah.
Here's my
I like
song.
it.
Everything's getting weirder. Fate of humanity draws nearer. He doesn't seem much like a premier, more of a Führer. And you ask if I miss Rachel, like I miss codeine in my Dayquil. My energy seems wasteful if you're this hateful. I'm just trying to figure out how to talk about the world with almost everyone I know. I hope we can agree, you deserve sympathy. It's not your fault your IQ is 83. Shouting, someone draw a dick upon that girl. But any of us would be you, born unto your parents too, with your experiences to shape our views. We would bleed blue, and we'd be angry at Trudeau, giving illegals so much money for their votes, believing memes that told us so. What a shit show. I'm just trying to figure out how to talk about the world with almost everyone I know. I hope we can agree, I deserve sympathy, 'cause it's everyone else's fault but me. That post on Facebook made me hurl. To and fro we sway, voting left or right, choosing who we will obey. We can sort of have our say on election day. So we hurtle through the universe. Some seem intent to make it worse. Some make it better with love dispersed. That's the people curse. And I'm just trying to figure out how to talk about the world with almost everyone I know. I hope we can agree, we deserve sympathy, 'cause it is our fault, it's our society. It's an oyster, not yet a pearl.
Fucking fantastic, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
That was amazing.
That's where I'm at with it so far. I started writing it just before the whole Don Cherry incident came out.
Yeah.
And so I've been thinking maybe I could add like a bridge and just reference just my feelings on the Don Cherry gate.
Absolutely.
2019.
Dude, that's us in a fucking nutshell. That's so us.
Yeah, it is what we're trying to do here. Try to figure out what to say, how to talk to people. You know, I've mentioned on the podcast recently, I want to be able to talk to my right-wing friends in a way that's constructive, that helps them to see where I'm coming from, and explains myself, succinctly in a way that they're like, oh, I see that. I get it, Rubes. Okay.
Yeah.
And they don't have to change their opinions about taxes or jobs or oil or anything, as long if they could just acknowledge, okay, I hear you and I get what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. Like, I feel I can do that with both, even the farthest left people and the farthest right people and everyone in between. My goal is always to try to listen to them, hear the best version of their arguments, as Joe says. He wants the best version of anyone's bad ideas so that we can decide if we agree with that or don't agree with that. And, not everyone has to agree, but we have to be able to talk to each other. And there's so much disinformation and bullshit out there, like this whole thing with Don Cherry. So let's get into that. Don Cherry basically said on a Hockey Night in Canada, he was talking about Remembrance Day was coming. He's like, you people who come here and enjoy our milk and honey and our way of life, the least you can do is buy a poppy.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, that's maybe a slightly paraphrased, but basically he said you people, he said who come here, he said milk and honey, and it was obviously pretty racist.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are defending, saying, no, he's just saying people should buy poppies. What? They can't buy poppies because they moved here? They should. If they moved here and they enjoy our way of life, they should buy poppies. That's not bad. And okay, it's not bad to say that people should buy poppies and support veterans. That is a beautiful thing. So he's saying that, but in the mix of it, the way he's saying you people who come here, that implies that they don't appreciate, and that people who are born here and do live here, and white people, that we do appreciate the way of life. And it's causing divisiveness, and it's separating those people, and then generalizing, making a very broad general statement that is ridiculous, because a lot of immigrants who move here from other places do buy poppies and support that, and they might appreciate it and show their appreciation in different ways that isn't just about buying a poppy, so I've been pretty furious with people that are saying no, there's nothing racist about that. I'm like, what are you talking
it's
about?
Definitely blatantly. You can't say even you people. Like, what the fuck else does you people mean?
Yeah, well,
when you say you people.
One of the defenses I heard was he was talking about people from Toronto versus rural communities, because earlier in the conversation, apparently there had been some talk about Torontonians and rural communities.
Yeah. But, I mean, you could expand that to be big cities versus rural communities, because that's really what we're talking about. I don't think we're that different from Toronto in our viewpoints, probably.
No, and I don't think that's what he meant. I think he meant brown people who move here
from
you have to really, really stretch to believe that that's what he meant.
And especially to someone that doesn't understand everything that's actually happened.
Yeah.
It seems like against brown people.
It was.
Like that we are, and that, fucking support Don Cherry, because I don't even know what he's trying to say. What is he trying to say? You're one of the most privileged white people in Canada. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And then, this isn't the first time. He's made comments about, Indigenous people and how they just fight on hockey teams, and you got a couple of Indigenous people. Of course, he doesn't say Indigenous. You got a couple of Indians on your team. They could fucking fuck shit up and make all the rest of the team scared. And he's not necessarily saying something negative. He's kind of trying to say something positive, but it's still painting all of one people with the same brush, which is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he talks about the Russians and the Swedes and the Swedes, the fucking chicken pussy Swedes out there. Fuck you, Don Cherry. I'm Swedish. And sure, I might be afraid of some hockey players who could definitely beat me up, but
certainly,
but lots of them aren't afraid, and it's ridiculous to make those comments and paint everyone with a single brush.
At the risk of offering this guy an excuse for his shitty fucking speech, he's kind of indicative of his generation.
Yeah, he's 85 years old.
My parents, not necessarily both my parents, but a lot of my family members, my older family members, they talk this way. They've always talked this way. I grew up with this shit, so I don't know. Not to offer them an excuse, but this is kind of how they've been. And like you said in their song, maybe if you had grown up, you would bleed blue too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's not, and that's why, we get angry about these things, but we also need to still have sympathy for these.
Right.
I should have sympathy for Don Cherry, because if I was born into his circumstances and grew up with his experiences, I would be Don Cherry too.
Yeah.
And the thing that we need to try to do is to help Don Cherry. He wouldn't have had to been fired. If he would have gone back to Sportsnet and said, you know what, I see how that was racist, and I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize to everyone, and I'm going to try to be more open-minded.
Or even just acknowledge the facets of the speech that were offensive.
Yeah. No, he didn't, though. He doubled down on it. He's like, no, I mean what I say. I'm just talking about Canadians should wear poppies.
And guess what? There's a fat fucking crowd ready to rally behind that.
Oh, I know
They're
is.
ready, man.
Yeah.
Wexit.
Sowing the seeds of divisiveness.
Hashtag Wexit. We're ready for you, Don Cherry.
Oh, good
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
The Edmonton meeting of Wexit at the what was the name of the place? It's might as well be Joe's Hillbilly Dance Hall.
I didn't even catch that it was a place.
There was a meeting of Wexit in Edmonton, and the venue that they met at was a country western dancing bar. And the pictures, there, you could say, because they were showing pictures of the meeting, and it is 95% old white people.
Right.
It's old white people that went to it. And to say, hey, I see that the people that are here is old white people, is that racist? No, it's not racist. You can see that that's who's there. That's the demographic.
Yeah, no, it's what it is.
Yeah. That was infuriating.
I think if you asked every person that lives in the west of Canada and added up votes, there's no fucking chance in hell Wexit's going to go through.
No.
None. Literally none. No chance.
Even the people that kind of support it, a lot of them are saying, well, this is our only leverage tool to get what we want from Ottawa.
Right.
And which I also disagree with. No, we have a tool of just saying what we want. We are, we can vote for people that we think will represent us. And, I don't think that fucking shitty Andrew Scheer does represent. He doesn't represent me in my views, that's for sure.
And let's center it down to Jason Kenney, the premier of Alberta, where we live.
Fucking Kenny.
He's ruining literally ruining everything.
Yeah, but I see people defending him. No, he's attracting businesses to come here that will invest, and then when they invest in Alberta, that will pay the salaries of new workers.
Yeah.
No, he's taking $16,000 flights to Saskatchewan, having meetings which are probably just big drinking fucking binge fest, and then coming back
While gutting our education.
Well, yeah, cutting everything that makes the 99% of Alberta better.
Yeah.
Making the 1% of he's taking from the 99% and giving to the 1%.
It's like he wants us all to be oil workers.
Yeah.
Legit. Like,
But then people that benefit from that are also saying, no, it's good. And that's what shocks me.
yeah.
I can't believe that people who aren't in the 1%, I understand how they can support this because it's to their benefit. But all the people in the 99% that support him, I don't understand.
Mind blowing. But even the 1%, they must have a lot of kids that are involved in the arts and whatnot.
No, they go to private schools and they're like
Fair enough.
all paid for.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
They're still getting their
time
good
and time
arts.
again. Oh,
and
yeah.
Whatever. But
anything they want.
yeah, absolutely. I understand. But I mean, it's so frustrating. I have a relative, shout out to Michelle, who's a teacher, and she rallies hard against Jason Kenney. And she
Yeah.
brings up points I would never have thought of. So again, shout out to Michelle.
Right on. Shut up, Michelle.
Yeah.
My dad is a teacher, and so I'm a little bit ingrained. Like, I grew up with my experiences that shape who I am, and I definitely feel for the teachers. As I've said, I want all kids, and I don't even have kids, but I want kids to grow up with really, really good opportunities. Not necessarily equal outcomes, but equal opportunities.
Yeah.
And so that kids grow up well-adjusted so they don't end up mugging me in an alley someday.
Just your basics, man.
Yeah,
Like-
give them the chance to play the sports and have fun. I got the chance to play sports when I was a kid. My family wasn't rich. That's the thing. Stupid Jess, what's her face?
Yeah. Here we are. Now we're on the other side of the argument, pretty much, which is just as fucking stupid as the original side.
I didn't write it down. This Jess girl on the social, she says that hockey players are super privileged,
Spoiled white
bullies,
boys. Yeah.
spoiled white boys who are rich. A lot of people who are white that get their kids in hockey are not rich. That's for damn sure.
Fuck yeah.
I have a lot of friends that played hockey growing up. I didn't play hockey.
That sacrifice to get their kids in what they want to do. you know?
Exactly. And because there's a lot of benefits from playing team sports. You learn how to win as a team. You learn how to win graciously. You learn how to lose and
Yeah.
lose graciously. And you learn how to work as a team for a common goal.
For
And
sure.
it's a really humbling, and are there assholes that played hockey and were bullies? Of course there are.
So much. Yeah.
There are bullies. There were bullies. I went through 6 years of band in school, and there were bullies in the
there.
band program.
Guess what? I've never undertaken anything in my entire life where there wasn't a goddamn asshole in the building.
Yes, there are assholes everywhere.
Always.
But is there a ton of benefit from playing organized hockey? Absolutely there is.
There is.
There's a massive benefit to it. So I firmly believe in sports. I think it's a great way for us to get out some of that energy, stay physically fit, and to learn how to develop our minds in a way that is productive, that we
Yeah.
can work together and benefit together.
So again here, so we've got a mutual, you have a friend and I have a person I know and follow, Kathleen McGee. She
Oh,
was
yeah.
putting up some pretty good points
Yeah.
about how white hockey players in the past have bullied them, done horrendous things to them, and then a lot of other girls and men put out posts on
Sure.
her same post.
And I'm not saying that it's not necessarily a problem when you get a bunch of young teenage boys all together, that they're going to just be cool all the time.
Yeah.
That is an issue that we should address. Bullying is, of course, an issue that we should address in the world. Shout out to Justin Wren and the work that he's doing on bullying.
Yeah.
I think it's an issue, but that's to say that, we should get rid of hockey, and hockey in general creates a bad culture, and that's just asinine.
But again, this kind of goes back to the last generation that's kind of showing these kids what's right and what's wrong. Where's the discipline for these when these things are happening? And there is some things that are overlooked for sure. Like,
For sure.
these kids are so good at hockey, we're not going to jeopardize that.
Yep.
I mean, it's similar to like I can't remember the kid's name. He raped some girl outside a party or something not too long ago. It was in the States. I really can't remember the kid's name, but he
Yeah,
basically got a slap on the wrist for it because
Yeah.
of because what? Because his future.
And
What about her future?
That sucks. That
That's
needs
terrible.
to be fixed. And I think it's possible to have a nuanced opinion of the thing,
Mhm.
and not say that hockey is 100% bad and it's the worst. Organized sports should not be allowed.
Yeah.
Or to say that no, everything is fine with organized sports. Fuck you. I read Theo Fleury. He had a tweet. He's saying like, "That's not my experience in hockey. Everything in hockey
saved
that I
my
got
life,
was
basically.
awesome. Saved my life." Yeah, that's what he said.
I saw that tweet.
So it's not one or the other. We can have these nuanced opinions and we can talk about it, and we can look at bullying in hockey and in coaching. Like, yes, there's probably a lot of bullies that end up as coaches that do a number on these kids psychologically and hurt them.
For sure. Just as many that make their lives way better.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's some that aren't bullies that are just encouraging and, trying to help kids and that do help kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's complicated. And
but we're humans and we should be able to have compassion for both sides, because nobody's walking around and doesn't think they have a point and think they're correct. Most people think that they're right about what they're saying. Right?
That's true, yeah.
As a rule.
I wrote one of the lyrics in my song that I wrote was because it's, I deserve sympathy because it's everyone else's fault but me.
Right.
And, part of that is that I need to own that sometimes I feel like I'm right and I'm not willing to listen to other people.
100%.
And I'm like,
man, all the time, actually.
Yeah.
I do my best, but
it's
if
hard.
I think I'm right, I'm going to probably fight for the fact I'm right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about Rogan. But first, I got to go take a leak because we drank a bunch of whiskey and I got to pee.
Smoky ass booze. Yeah.
Okay. That was good.
Feel refreshed?
I do.
That's
yeah.
excellent.
So let's get into talking a little bit about Joe Rogan. So episode 1380 with Pete Dominic.
You're saying this is like your worst.
Definitely
Rogan
one of my
episode,
worst.
One of them.
I just knew the comments were going to be fierce as well. So I went looking on YouTube to see what people said about the episode.
Yeah.
And basically all of the top comments were like, this guy's a piece of shit. Glad I learned about his podcast here so I can never go listen to it.
Totally. Don't even have to try it.
Yeah. And he comes into I feel for the guy. He's a better speaker than I am.
Yeah.
And he's spent 12 years on satellite radio. So clearly he knows how to talk, and he has a very well-formed opinion. And he was really sucking Joe's dick right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Which I tend to, I don't know, I agree with, but also it tends to annoy me somehow.
But with anyone, when you see that, really, right? It's kind of annoying to see.
It's weird because it's like something I agree with, but it turns me right off.
Yeah, it's it's okay just to pat his back and move on.
Yeah. Like we have a whole podcast called The Rogan Report, kind of dedicated.
So this is the most hypocritical thing we've ever talked about.
But also, I just, as soon as I hear him talking like that, I'm like, ugh. But then he would also disagree with Rogan and he would jump to conclusions about what Rogan was saying that was not at all what Rogan was saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it was just super annoying. Maybe the most annoying guest of all time.
Yeah. Wasn't great.
So 1380, Pete Dominic.
Avoid it.
Avoid it. Or listen to it.
Or agree with us.
Yeah.
Now
and then,
good.
because it's almost, I'm almost glad that I heard it because it does stand out so much. So it's not just like an average Joe Rogan episode. It stands out, unfortunately, in a negative way.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I did listen to it. And I listened to the whole thing, all fucking 3 hours of it.
Well, it just shows that no matter how good of a host you are, you do need another person to talk to.
Yeah.
that isn't shitty.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But it was so funny then to hear. I think Donnell, was it Williams? I forget his Rawlings. Yeah. He was the next guest I heard. And just what a stark comparison, of fantastic guest to from terrible guest to just someone who is really right in the groove. And there's just the chemistry between them they were both in sync with each other, whereas Pete and Joe were not at all in sync. They were way off.
Didn't Pete kind of list himself as kind of a comedian as well?
Yeah, he is
I've
a stand-up
never heard
comedian.
him do stand-up, but
I haven't either. I imagine it's terrible.
Yeah.
But he was like, what was I just had something I was going to say about the episode that left my brain as soon as I started talking about it, which happens to me. That's probably the
that
whiskey.
proper 12.
Yeah,
man.
that proper 12,
Shout out to Conor McGregor.
Yeah, we're a few shots deep here into our whiskey. We had some proper 12. We also had some Dalmore 15,
which was lovely.
Oh, it's what a good whiskey.
Yeah.
And then some just plain old regular Jack Daniels, which we're still drinking now. We got Jack Daniels and Cokes in our glasses.
And here I am at 39 years old getting an education on drinking whiskey.
And then you also brought a couple of Kilkennys for us to start the night off with.
Yeah.
So we had some beer, and then we progressed to whiskey.
I'm such a lightweight that I kind of felt I needed to toe dip a little bit in first before hitting this proper 12. But
hey, it's like my old guitar teacher, Cor Blund, says, time to switch to whiskey. We've been drinking beer all night.
Now, you just dropped a name on the floor there. You know Corb Lund?
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Corb. I took guitar lessons from Corb when he was living in Edmonton when the Smalls is probably like after their second or third album, and I was a fan of the Smalls. And my mom went to like a cafe and she tore a phone number off of a bulletin board.
Yeah.
And then she brought it home and she's like, "Hey, this guy, he's in a band. He's giving guitar lessons. His name's Corb Lund." I was like, "Corb Lund? He's in the Smalls! Oh my god!"
I didn't know he was in the Smalls either. I know him from his country beat.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Corb Lund was a bass player in the Smalls.
Oh, shit.
And that's how I knew of him, because I was a big Smalls fan when I was 15, and I was starting to learn to play guitar, and so I went and took I think 3 or 4 guitar lessons from Corb.
That's awesome.
And he taught me the pentatonic scale. I went in there saying I want to learn how to solo better, and he taught me some of the key kind of basics of guitar.
Yeah.
But that's not nearly, doesn't even begin to come close to what he did for me as far as inspiring me to play music. Because meeting him and hanging out with him and jamming and having him like be cool to me, a beginner guitar player, when he's like a fairly advanced level musician, and someone that I already looked up to, was like a massive inspiration for me. And
100%.
so, when looking back on that time, and I see his influences in my writing. When I write songs, I'm like, that's a Corb Lund-esque word or lyric right there.
Yeah.
So, I got a lot out of that. And then it was only a few lessons, but it definitely went on to inspire me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And looking back on that experience, that was one of the great things from my youth.
He was big here in Edmonton with his country stuff for a while.
Yeah, it still is, for sure.
I can't remember the tune. No, still is. But I can't remember the tune that was like,
well, Time to Switch to Whiskey.
Is it Convoy? Is it Convoy that he did?
He did a cover of Convoy, I think. Maybe.
Oh, it wasn't his song, but he did a cover.
Convoy. Yeah, Convoy is a C.W.
That thing
McCall
was all over
song
the radio for like a year and a half.
From ages and ages ago. I would say his biggest song is probably Time to Switch to Whiskey.
Okay.
And it's like, time to switch to whiskey.
Shit, I wish we had that for this episode.
Maybe we can throw it in. You want to throw Time to Switch to Whiskey in?
Maybe we should.
All right, let's do it.
Rye whiskey, I cried. If I don't get rye whiskey, well, I think I may die. I'm gonna go up beyond the holler, I'm gonna build me a still, and I'll sell you a gallon for a $5 bill. Well, if the ocean was whiskey and I was a duck, I'd swim to the bottoms and never come up. But the oceans ain't whiskey and I ain't no duck, so I'll play the Jack of Diamonds and trust to my luck. Jack of Diamonds, know you hold. You drop my poor pockets of silver and gold. Well, it's beefsteak when I'm hungry, rye whiskey when I'm dry, and greenbacks when I'm hard up, and heaven when I die. Rye whiskey, I cried. If I don't get rye whiskey, well, I think I may die. Well, my horses ain't hungry, and they don't want your hay. So fare thee well, darling, and I'll be on my way. Here's to it, folks.
Great intro for the song.
Yeah, that was badass, man.
Well, I like a full-bodied lager as much as the next hard-working man. And the taste of suds or dealing stud, I can surely understand. Trucker speed, and yes indeed, it's nearly getting light. But it's time to switch to whiskey, we've been drinking beer all night. Smoke your grass and fish your bass and burn that purple gas. Showing up is a powerful stuff that'll knock you on your ass. It's like diesel fuel, nobody's fool's gonna wanna get left behind. It's time to switch to whiskey, we've been drinking beer all night. Well, it's time to switch to whiskey, we've been drinking beer all night. We're all half dead, never's left, just spoiling for a fight. Who'd have thunk we could jack his drunk, the boys don't spare the ride. But it's time to switch to whiskey, we've been drinking beer all night. I've been splitting eights and hitting my straights in the card rooms of the world. Chasing skirt, getting hurt, but now I got a card playing girl. But man, she gets excited when the deal don't come out right. But it's time to switch to whiskey, she's been drinking beer all night. Well, it's time to switch to whiskey. We've been drinking beer all night. We're all half dead, limits left is spoiling for a fight. But who the fuck we could jackass drunk? The boys don't spare the ride. 'Cause it's time to switch to whiskey. We've been drinking beer all night. Okay, alright. Well, I've heard it said that you can get some heat in Irish pubs. Serving Jamesons to an orange moon or Bushmills to his cuz. Here's what you do with Tullamore Dew. You can meet them both halfway. It's time to switch to whiskey. They've been drinking beer all day. Well, it's time to switch to whiskey. We've been drinking beer all night. We're all half dead, limits left is spoiling for a fight. Who the fuck we can jackass drunk? The boys don't spare the ride. It's time to switch to whiskey. We've been drinking beer all night. And it's time to switch to whiskey. We've been drinking beer all night. Rye whiskey, rye whiskey, rye whiskey, I cry.
Classic train wreck ending there.
I love that live version, man. That's fucking great.
It's good, eh?
Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.
In Australia.
Yeah. And I definitely heard that song before. I just didn't have the name to put to it.
Yeah, it's probably his most famous.
Pretty tremendous.
Man, I love Corblund. He was a massive influence for me in my music over the years.
Is he better live? God, man. that
Well,
was
most
pretty fucking
people.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, even that is a live recording, but you don't get the energy of being there
Yeah,
from the
totally.
recording, right? Like the real connecting with music that for me is when I'm there in the room or with the person making the music, and we can connect, and that's how I love as a performer and as a listener. I like being there
100%.
and seeing it happen, and being back and forth with the performer or the audience.
Absolutely. I was there for your live CD release,
Right.
and I experienced that. What was the name of that place? The Artery?
The Artery. Oh,
Man, the energy in
peace,
that place.
The
I've
Artery.
never felt anything before or since that night.
yeah,
I'm
right
not
on.
going to lie to you. That
Okay.
was tremendous.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
The whole
that-
place was just vibing with
Yeah.
with your music. It was amazing.
Yeah, that place was a really great listeners venue, and a lot of bars. If you go hear a band at a bar, because 70% of the people there are just there to drink and talk with their friends.
That's right.
You don't get the same kind of real connection that you get when you go to a place where everyone is there to just focus on the music.
Yeah.
And theater shows, typically people that go to those, they go to focus on the music, so you can get it more if you're going to be in a large venue. You can get it more at a theater than you can get it at like a local bar. But the Artery was a small venue that was really designed for listeners. And
I mean, basically everybody there was your friend. I'm
That-
sure
that
you
too,
knew
that-
just
that-
about everyone in there. I think, but
I mean, that certainly helps.
yeah,
But people, every show that I've been there, that people that went there to listen to the music, not to just talk to their friends all night.
Yeah.
So it's rest in peace, the Artery. Although Phil, one of the best human beings in the world, he has opened up a new spot called the Aviary,
okay.
and he brought a lot of the elements from the Artery over to this new venue. And there's some things about the new venue that I like better. It's northeast of the old spot that I don't like better. It's kind of I think it's on 118th Ave and kind of over towards where the stadium is.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But so it's a little further away from me than his old venue was, but he brought a lot of the elements of from the old venue to the new venue. So
another
super awesome.
fairly seedy spot, kind of like the last one, but
yeah, exactly.
but that's okay, man.
Yeah.
A lot of the best things in Edmonton are in seedy little places.
That's true. And it's great in there. I love it.
Absolutely. I got to go
Okay.
over there and check that out, though.
So 1383, Malcolm Gladwell, from one of the worst episodes of the year to definitely my favorite of the year so far.
So good.
I loved Malcolm
Such an
Gladwell.
inspirational guy, man.
Oh yeah, great author, and I didn't know he was Canadian, as I think I mentioned earlier in the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know, or I mentioned it to you when you got here. I definitely have mentioned it. I didn't know he was Canadian, and that makes me a little bit, in a nationalist, maybe not so cool kind of way. I'm happy that he's Canadian.
A little bit of
Well,
what do you call
there.
that? Patriotism.
Patriotism, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but at this point, Canadians and Americans are so goddamn similar that that's almost
true.
arbitrary to
Yeah.
even point out.
Yeah, North American. Although the Mexicans are still pretty different.
Yeah, they're pretty different.
Fuck those guys.
They're definitely doing things differently down there. I mean, there's a lot in the cartels be in charge at this point, aren't they? Isn't that what I heard in the news?
Just
The government basically lost.
That's craziness happening.
Yeah. Scary times.
Okay, back from pee break number 2. Where the fuck were we? Go listen to Malcolm Gladwell, 1383. Great episode.
So you were saying Pete Dominic was maybe one of the worst episodes for sure this year.
Yeah, maybe
What
of
do you
all
think
time.
was the worst episode ever?
Worst episode ever?
Besides Pete Dominic. I can tell you one that I actually expected to be really great because he's one of my favorite rap artists, or he was at the time.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi. It
Okay.
was actually a pretty awful Rogan episode.
What didn't you like about it?
He just didn't have a lot, I guess, I don't know, a lot to say maybe? Like some people, I mean, it's harder than you think to podcast, for one thing.
That's true.
It's definitely not as easy as you
It's
think.
not just having a conversation with another person.
No, it's not. It's not. To make it interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a little bit put off by that one because I love a lot of Kid Cudi's music. But,
Okay.
I don't know.
Remember there was that Canadian guy that went in there promoting Bulletproof Coffee that then it came out after the fact that he was like on speed basically.
Really?
I think he was on what's that drug that all the journalists are on?
Adderall?
I think he was on Adderall.
Okay.
And he's like saying he basically sort of invented a version of Bulletproof Coffee, and it was when Joe had just first gotten into Bulletproof Coffee.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he came up with the term Bulletproof Coffee.
Oh.
What the fuck was his name?
By the way, I don't think Joe's doing Bulletproof Coffee anymore.
No, but hindsight, that
Yeah.
was one of the worst episodes of all time.
Yeah.
And
How
Joe,
much can you talk about coffee? Right?
Oh, Dave Asprey, that was his name.
I remember that. Yeah.
Dave Asprey. So the Dave Asprey episode, while an enjoyable episode while it was happening, afterwards in the post fallout from that episode, not so great.
No,
So I'd say that's probably one of my
that's probably
one of my
down
worst.
there. Yeah. I mean, there's probably a whole bunch. If you go back to the first 100,
The early ones,
there's a
yeah.
bunch that are garbage.
they don't hold up.
By the way, episode 1, stay away from.
Yeah. When I first got into Jerry, it was at about episode like 100-ish.
Yeah, I think I was about there too. And then I tried to go back and listen to all of
I
them.
did go back and I listened to all of them, but I didn't really have a high watermark for what I expected podcasting to
So
be.
then it was still not
So-
that bad.
Yeah, it was not that bad
Yeah.
back then because it was still barely just getting into podcasting.
Yeah.
Now to go back and listen to them, which I have done, I'm like, oh my God, this is unlistenable.
When I first started listening, I used to cherry pick I used to look on YouTube. I didn't even have the podcasting app or any of that stuff. I just looked on YouTube for podcasts, and I would just look based on topic or based on guest.
Right.
So that's how I got in. But eventually I did go back and listen. I think I got to 110 maybe.
Yeah.
And then I stopped catching up. So I'm basically, 100, 200 on from there.
Okay.
But yeah,
So
it was a different show
Yeah.
in the beginning.
It
It
was.
was totally different.
It was.
Yeah.
It's just one thing about me is I respect the streak, and I've listened to every single Joe Rogan. I'm definitely drunk. It's harder to
Getting
make
buzzed
words
up.
come out of my
Yeah.
mouth. But I've listened to every Joe Rogan episode that's out there up to the last couple that I haven't listened to this week, which is what I haven't listened to the RZA episode or the Ari Shaffir or Paul Stamets episodes. Looking forward to those.
So I listened to Ari Shaffir, and I won't spoil it for you. There's nothing really to spoil.
Okay.
You know Ari.
I do.
Um,
They talked about you said you wanted to talk about him
yeah,
dosing
the Cosbying of
the
Kreischer.
being of Bert Kreischer, which Joe's brought up and made fun of a few times since.
It's funny. He makes fun of, but also he makes it very clear that he's not cool with that. He's like, it's funny, but
Don't
I'll
ever do
fucking
that.
kill you if you do that to me.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's interesting. Yeah, it was not. Do you think Ari regrets it? now
Mm.
after.
Dude, I don't know if Ari was capable of really regretting
Regret?
stuff. Yeah,
Is Ari a sociopath?
maybe,
Uh-oh.
maybe.
He might be.
There was a. I don't know if you know about his and Tom's podcast, Two Bears, One Cave.
No,
They've been doing that for the last couple of months,
no, I don't know
which
that.
is pretty good. But also, since October started, their wives did. Leanne Kreischer and Christina Pajitsky started their own podcast
Is
called
that-
So Over October.
Okay.
So-
My God, there's too many podcasts. Stop it, everyone.
I know, right?
Just stop it.
Here we are again, speaking that from the Rogan Report.
Yes, true. I understand
The irony
hypocrisy
of.
and the irony. Yeah, but yes, okay. So go on. What about? Have you
But,
listened to these ones?
So when it first happened, because when their podcast started, it was like episode 1, and Ari had just fucking Cosby'd Bert. At first, like Leanne, Bert's wife, had zero desire to ever forgive Ari for that. Like,
Okay.
because
It was
just to give a
fresh.
little context,
Yeah.
I think it was Ari at Bert's house to do a podcast,
Yeah. Ari went over to Bert's. They're in the man cave.
but Bert's
there.
whole family was home.
That's true.
He has kids,
Yep, he does.
some that are like 10 or 11 or some shit.
Wasn't a well
Very
thought out
young, very
plan.
similar to my kids.
Yeah. not
So
a
I
good
can definitely
plan.
relate
Yeah.
to what I would feel like being mollied at home.
Sure.
So I can see why Leanne's pretty pissed.
Yeah.
Pretty pissed.
And Bert.
And Bert. I mean, I think Bert's less pissed than.
I think Leanne's the most pissed of everyone.
Yeah, no. Leanne was at first was like, no, there's no forgiving.
Okay.
That's it. We're done with Ari.
Okay.
But I think they have made up and they've kissed and made up.
That's
so.
nice.
yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that episode. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's definitely.
But I've been enjoying the
come
whole
up
drama of the Cosbying of Bert. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, who else could you get away with doing that to?
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean,
Good point.
barely got away with it.
barely. If he did, yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's
I think
not-
it definitely caused a problem in
Yeah.
their relationship.
So, do you think he regrets it? No.
I think maybe deep down. He never says sorry either.
No.
Like, never.
I don't think he regrets it.
No, I mean, it did wonders for his stock. It didn't drop his stock. It rose
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying?
Ouch.
At this point, Ari can say and do whatever he fucking wants. And it's just going to be like, yeah, that's Ari. You know?
Yeah, I don't think I agree with that.
I mean, that it should be that way or that it is that
That
way.
it should be that way.
Yeah, that's what I don't agree
No one
either.
should be able to just do whatever they want. People need to
There's
take
been a
care
few
of each
times
other.
with Ari where I'm like, that's kind of gross, Ari. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should help each other out, take care of each other. That's that should be our overall general disposition.
But same with Joey Diaz. He's definitely, there's been some times I'm like, what the fuck, Joey?
Yeah,
You know,
fair enough.
i.e. the story where he caught his poop as he pooped and he
Yeah.
tossed it into the toilet,
Yeah, don't do that.
which, I mean, props to the catching skill.
Kind of gross.
And the
though.
toss is pretty strong too, but
Yeah, not something I want to hear about.
no, exactly.
All right, well,
I mean, we've been going through the weeks here. We're still not doing it as often as we want.
no, we
Obviously.
should be doing it kind of weekly. I think,
And I think we're going to go from that.
Yeah, that
from
we
here
should.
on.
We should get back to that.
Yeah.
I agree. And then, yeah, please get back to us, people, if you have feedback. We'd love to hear ideas from you guys.
Yeah.
So
You have a JoJo
what do
if
we
you want to do, right?
I do have a Joe joke. We'll save that for the end. We
Okay.
should talk UFC.
Oh, yeah, UFC. That's what I'm forgetting to talk about.
I had a party here at my house for UFC 244. Was it?
Tremendous
I don't
UFC.
remember.
Tremendous UFC.
It was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
So let's see here. And there's been a couple, actually. It seems like they're doing fight nights every fucking Saturday now.
Literally.
And
every
there's
Saturday.
been some big ones. And there's a big one today. There's a fight night tonight
There is, yeah.
that is happening. So
I got to be honest, I'm not watching them all anymore. I don't have time every single weekend to dedicate.
it's impossible
That much
because they're
time.
all like 3 or 4 hours
Yeah.
long.
And especially if you really want to be caught up, you have to listen to early, or watch early and regular prelims.
Yeah.
So really, it's like, it's sometimes almost 10 hours of fucking UFC.
Yeah, because there was
A lot.
like the prelim at my house. The main event of the prelim was Corey Anderson and Johnny Walker.
Right.
Fucking awesome fight.
Two like big names. that
Two big names.
really were bigger names than some of the fighters on the main card.
Yeah, and there was still like there was Shane Burgos on the prelim. There was people in the prelims that are like Andre Arlovsky was in the prelim.
Yeah.
Who got beat by
Starched.
yeah
Fucking-
Jarzintio Rosintriuk. I don't know how to say that name.
But this
I'm not
is
good at pronouncing names.
another clear case of fucking old lion versus young lion.
Yeah, there's a big one coming up in the prelims for Fight Night 163. Is that what it is? No, 164 or the UFC on ESPN.
It's so confusing now. 'cause
Overeem is fighting this tonight. I think
God,
that's
somebody
the one
needs
that's
to
today.
throw that guy's towel in. Enough is enough with Overeem.
I know.
I don't know if I can see him get knocked out.
He's
again.
fighting on the next one in December 3rd or something like that. Overeem's fighting. But today, let me see. Where is it? Nope. Maybe he's not fighting today.
That knockout of Overeem though.
Oh,
By what's his name?
the black,
Why
not the
can't I
black
remember his
beast.
fucking name? It's so rememberable. Ngannou.
Francis Ngannou.
That's right. Yeah.
where
that
he
was
got
like
airborne.
That was like a snatch style knockout. Remember when Brad Pitt gets knocked the fuck down at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
He gets up again, but
Totally.
that's what that shit was, man.
Yeah.
A movie knockout.
No, I was thinking about the next UFC, December 7th, the card with Overeem. That whole main card of that fight night starts with Carlos Condit versus Mickey Gall.
Oh wow.
That's on December 7th.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mickey Gall's ready for that.
Oh, he's not. He's going to get
He's
fucked
gonna get
up.
hurt,
I
probably.
predict by
Yeah.
Carlos Condit.
Yeah.
But that said, it's one of those the old regime versus the new young guns.
Is this Carlos maybe having his last fight, or is it Carlos trying to revamp his?
I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, is Carlos going to go for another title shot eventually at
Let's
welterweight?
be honest. It's not going to happen, my man.
Doesn't seem likely. And this is like the first fight on the main card of not even a fight night, but just UFC on ESPN 7.
Oh,
Is
wow.
that's the card.
That's how far Condit's stock has
Yeah.
dropped, eh?
But Overeem's fighting the main event of that night.
Yeah.
And Stefan Struve.
I think it's true.
No, Struve.
Yeah.
There's a T in there. Stefan Struve versus Ben Rothwell. That's an odd heavyweight. That's going to be a fun one to
That's
see.
interesting. That's Struve's tall as fuck, hey? Isn't
Yeah,
he
he's
like
like
7 feet tall?
7 something, I
Yeah.
think. He's a
Awkward.
monster. Like it's from Holland, I think, right?
Yeah, they're tall in Holland for sure.
Yeah. So that's UFC on ESPN 7. We're not doing a good job here, Shane. I feel like I'm all over the place.
That's okay.
Um,
We're a little drunk here today. Rubes.
Zabit won versus Calvin Qatar.
Oh, right.
Um,
That's a
decision. The last UFC was the UFC Fight Night 163. Basically, just a night full of decisions. There were
Yeah.
almost no finishes. I guess at welterweight there was one finish. Zelsium Imadiev. Was this fight in Russia?
yeah, it was. Yeah.
That makes sense because it's a lot of Russian-sounding fighters on this, but mostly decisions. And Zabit was the headliner. He beat Calvin Qatar.
And not surprising in Russia, there's a lot of wrestling, and you're
Yeah.
gonna get a lot of decisions that way.
But UFC 244, that was a good time. That was at my house.
That's tremendous.
Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. Masvidal, unfortunate ending to that fight. That was kind of a controversial. It wouldn't have been stopped in Vegas, probably. It's because it
No.
was in New York. Those doctors are very sensitive.
I've had some time to think about this. Now, in reality, that's not a title fight. Okay,
True.
That's a one-time off belt that really means nothing in the grand scheme of things, other than the fact that he's the baddest motherfucker.
Yeah,
And
it's the bad
I
motherfucker.
didn't need a
It's the
belt to know
brand-
that.
No, but it was fun that there was one.
But the point is, that should have been probably a 3-round fight. And in a 3-round fight,
Oh, he was getting-
Masvidal destroyed Nate Diaz.
Yeah, Diaz was getting fucked up
Not even
from
close.
the get-go.
Yeah.
The entire fight.
He's not on Masvidal's level.
But
I don't
that-
think even with 2 more rounds, he might have maybe made it last 2 more
Well,
rounds. That's
yeah.
about the best you could expect from him, though.
But the thing is also that because Nate Diaz, his time to shine really was those last 2 rounds.
That's right.
That's the problem.
That's what's annoying about it,
It's
though,
be-
that he
because-
has that even.
Yeah,
That's what's annoying.
it is too bad. I would have liked to have seen it go to the eventual completion. It
Oh,
looked
for
like Masvidal was fucking him up for the first 3 rounds for sure. It was like a head kick that opened up that gash.
And
above.
as nasty as that cut was, you expect Nate Diaz to be cut up.
He's
That's
always
what he does.
cut up like that. That's exactly. He looked
It's-
like that, and after the end of the Conor fight when he won,
Totally.
he looks like that all the time. He's got scar tissue in his face that cuts easily.
Yeah.
But when we were watching it and they're showing his face hanging open.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my,
pretty bad.
it was pretty gruesome. It was,
But also, was
gory.
there ever a moment that Nate was ever in control of that fight?
No, he was
Like, there
he
really
was
wasn't.
losing fiercely the first 3 rounds for sure.
Yeah.
10-8s, probably 2 of the rounds are 10-8 rounds.
Yeah.
The third round it might have been a 10-9 round.
Yeah. Which, of course, fuels the fire of why didn't he get his last 2 rounds?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the next 2 rounds could have been 10-9 for Diaz, but in that case, he still would have lost the
Still
decision.
lost. He would have had to destroy Masvidal in those last 2
Yeah.
rounds.
But my thinking of what could have happened, which is fucking 100% speculatory, is he could have worn Masvidal out and then gotten and choked Masvidal out. That's where that could have gone. I don't think he's going to knock out Masvidal in those last 2 rounds, but if he wears Masvidal out and it goes to the ground, he absolutely could have finished Masvidal with some kind of submission.
Yeah.
So that's what we didn't get to see of what could have happened. And they're saying they're going to rewind it and take it and fight in Vegas and do a rematch.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good idea
I think since that, the news has definitely been against that decision.
Yeah, because you don't want to see. We wanted to see that fight end. We didn't want to see him wind it back and go fight again.
No.
And he's already taken so much damage, man. That guy, he's got to be close to the
And
end
I
of his
think
career.
most people, fighters included, don't want to see that BMF belt ever on the line again. Like, that was a one-time thing, I think. Or not with them, like he's the guy that has the belt, that's it. Like, maybe have 2 other fighters some other time fight for a BMF belt, but maybe not, though.
Maybe. I don't think it's necessary.
No,
I like that they did it. It's an interesting thing to throw out for this one specific instance, but I don't need to see it happen.
For me, Masvidal's next fight's whoever wins Colby and Kamaru.
Yeah, that's the next 245, right?
Because Masvidal's earned his title shot.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no way around that for me. I don't want him fighting Nate again at all.
No.
What if he accidentally lost it and lost his title shot because of that? That's fucking terrible.
Yeah, no. Masvidal's last 3 fights all have earned him that title shot.
He didn't need
for
that
sure.
Nate fight. He should have got a title shot before that fight.
Yeah,
in
and
my
could have
opinion.
easily. No one would have been upset about him getting a title shot next.
What's Colby done compared to what Masvidal has been doing?
Talked more.
That's it.
Talked better.
That's literally it.
That is literally it.
He's not exciting to watch. He'll wrestle your ass off, and he's got great gas tank.
Yeah, if I wanted to watch someone run a marathon in the Olympics, then I would watch that.
Totally.
And that's basically what we're watching with Colby.
It's so funny to have such a shit talker like that be a wrestler type too,
Yeah.
right?
And then, just in one of the last episodes of Rogan I was listening to, they were talking about how he's not that guy at all. He is a super nice guy, but he just found a niche to play the
Fair
heel,
enough.
and he's doing that. He's doing it very well. He's playing the heel.
So are we supposed to let him be the heel, but also respect his actual personality that nobody actually knows?
I guess. I don't know.
All I have is what I'm given.
That's true.
So
That's true.
I don't know. I don't like what I see about Colby. And there's a certain amount of that. If it's in your head, it's actually you. You know what I'm
How
saying?
about Kevin Lee knocking out Gregor Gillespie?
Fucking tremendous.
That was one of the
I was so happy to see Kevin Lee get a win.
What was that weird pimple on his chest, though?
Staph. It was Staph again.
Staph again, was it?
Yeah.
I knew he had staph before. He had a giant hole in his chest.
Yeah.
And then he comes out, he's got this giant fucking pimple.
Yeah.
Was it staph? Did you see
It's
that?
Staph. That's what I heard Joe say in one of the podcasts.
Did you?
Or maybe it was
my
Brendan
God.
Schaub that said it, but it was Staph. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Confirmed staph.
So he's got staph again.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But that's another wrestling guy thing, right?
Just
Because
getting
you're
staph
always
all
on the
time?
mats. You're always fucking rubbing each other.
Why isn't he using that defense soap that you're supposed to use?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the defense is the brand. They make a soap
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
like
I
supposed
remember
to
hearing about this now. Yeah.
be good against staph infections.
Yeah.
As
Man,
soon as
that's a deterrent for me
Yeah.
to do jujitsu and stuff
I
like
do
that.
not need that
I don't
in
want
my
anyone
life.
sweaty shit on me.
But fucking hell of a knockout. Amazing.
Perfect.
That
And
was in the
Gillespie
first
looked
round.
great. Like he always
Gillespie
does.
looked
man.
good for sure. Yeah. But yeah, it just took a shin to the dome that no one is going to walk away from that.
It's almost. I mean, it's a shame because Gillespie was on his way up, wasn't he? Like on like
Yeah, it was
quite
on a
few-
streak, I think.
Yeah.
It was like 13 and oh,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he didn't have a loss.
I think you're right. Yeah, he was on his
Yeah.
way up to title shot, and then
Yeah.
boom.
Well, hopefully Kevin Lee gets a shot.
MMA
next time.
gods don't give a fuck about your streak.
Yeah, fuck your streak.
at all.
It's not the same as boxing, where boxing is way more streak driven.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different organizations in boxing and there's warm up fights and things. There
Yeah.
just isn't that, like Connor coming back after basically being out of it for 2 years. Probably could have had a couple warm-up fights. Maybe would have done better.
Would have been way better.
Yeah.
He had no business with Khabib, who's
No.
clearly the best lightweight.
Yeah, right now. But
Yeah.
if he'd been, I don't know.
I mean,
What's
the
an
best
ifs?
including wrestling and everything. I don't think he's the best fighter.
No.
I think he's the best wrestler. And there's
Yeah.
a difference to me, but
Yeah.
and
I always wonder too, like in no rules, actual fight to the death, who would win? Conor McGregor versus Khabib.
that's hard to say. Like
I wonder.
maybe
'cause
Khabib has some dirty tricks with no rules.
maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
But it seems like the no rules favors a striker over a wrestler.
yeah, because the back of the head strikes, the
Yeah,
soccer kicks,
All the things that are,
fucking groin strikes.
groin
head
kicks.
butts.
Yeah,
I
there's
could see
just
Conor throwing a nasty headbutt.
so
to the
many
face.
rules against strikers. Whereas like grapplers, what really is there? Nothing. You can grapple however you can possibly want to grapple.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Just
don't know.
picture you remember the movie Gangs of New York?
Yeah.
You remember when New York
Daniel
is
Day-Lewis.
headbutting Amsterdam's face? When he gets caught trying to kill him, he throws the knife and he misses, and they're like,
Like-
hold him down, and he gets on top of him and starts
It's
just
Daniel
smash-
Day-Lewis and,
Yeah, it's just-
and Leo DiCaprio.
headbutt fucks Leo's face.
I kind of don't remember
Oh my
that.
god,
at
it
all.
was so aggressive.
Yeah.
And it shows scenes of him healing for like the next 10 minutes in the movie.
Okay.
So gross.
I loved that movie when it came out, but I haven't seen it since it came out, which was like 10 years ago and change.
Another fucking classic.
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis can't lose. man.
Best actor of all time.
Yeah.
He's up there for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, that was 244. We watched it here. We played some board games, a little betting. Wits
That was
and
fun.
wagers.
What was that game called? we were
Wits and
playing?
Wagers.
Wits and Wagers. That
Yeah.
thing was sweet.
That was a good time. Your lady actually texted me. She's like, hey, what is that game called? I guess she was talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
it with people at her work.
She's real big into gaming too.
Games are fun. I love
yeah.
me some board games.
Honestly, that's the best way to do it with people that haven't met before too. It's a great way to break ice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Next fight, we've got, of course, Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington, which Kamaru Usman, fucking quietly one of the best fighters in the world
Totally,
right now.
yeah. He's a wrestler and a striker, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He's definitely
absolutely.
a better striker than Colby is. And Colby might be a slightly stronger wrestler.
Yeah, maybe slightly better. I don't even know if he's a stronger wrestler. He's maybe a little bit better conditioned.
Speaking of Nigerians, did you listen to Adesanya's podcast with Joe this
Addison
recently?
is great on Rogan. Like he's
Fuck
just
yeah, he's so good, man.
he's so present too. Like he's
Yeah.
like very quick. And they talked about Nigerians and how Nigerians are always scamming everybody and super smart.
But
Yeah.
Adesanya is saying like if they could get their name on the MMA map, they're the next motherfuckers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's saying too, he's like, I'm not even close to. He's like, when I go back to Nigeria, everyone is better built than me and smarter
Yeah.
than me. And
He's like
quicker
the
than me."
little fucking.
Yeah, he's the runt of Nigeria.
But also everyone's saying that Adesanya is actually big enough to fight John Jones. Like
That's what he's.
he was on Below the Belt Food Truck Diaries. I don't know if you've seen that's a thing on YouTube now. They test out food trucks around LA and he
I
interviews MMA guys.
I did not see that.
But
But they mentioned it on Rogan. He was saying that they were talking about
he's standing next to Schaub, who's no fucking small dude,
Yeah.
and he's taller than Schaub.
Okay.
Taller. He's skinny, but so's John Jones.
Sure. But would he fight? So they'd fight at light heavyweight then?
Yeah, it would have to be. I cannot see it. Adesanya
could
was
be
saying
at
he walks
middleweight,
around
right?
about 203, so he's going to be small for lightweight. Let's not fucking sugarcoat it. He's going to be small.
Yeah.
Smaller than John Jones, for sure.
Yeah.
But his striking is amazing.
Pretty good.
It's definitely better than John's.
I'd love to see that fight. You can
John's
make
got
that-
some crazy, like, elbows and whatever, but, like, he doesn't have that kind of, like, 50 fight win, kickboxing experience.
truth. Yeah, you could throw that on UFC 246 for me, and I would watch it.
Can you
Absolutely.
imagine little Adesanya knocks out John Jones for the first time?
That would be amazing.
That's your champ.
Yeah.
That beats all the other champs. For me,
Well, no. I
DC's
still-
champ was pretty good too. But,
I like the Montreal.
oh right, St. Pierre comes
GSP.
back after
I
being
think
gone
GSP
forever.
is champ. He's my favorite champ.
Comes back to a bigger weight division.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tremendous. That was a
Yeah.
great fight,
Yeah. GSP's my number one favorite of all time.
and I hated on that fight when it was happening. 'Cause
He
I was like,
might
why
not-
is GSP getting a shot right
yeah.
now?
I mean, he might not be the best of all pound for pound of all time. He's in the top 10 for sure.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
But he's my favorite of all time, even if he's not the best of all time.
Easily the best Canadian fighter of all time.
Oh, yeah.
So easily.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Shane. What else? Is that it? Is that it? Is that all we need to talk about?
I think
Oh,
so.
the Joe jokes.
Yeah.
We got to finish with some Joe jokes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So coming up on wintertime here in Canada.
And when you say that, it's been winter for a month and a half. But
Yeah.
okay.
It's winter. It's winter here.
It's been winter.
I forget exactly how I thought of it, but I want to say, who are you listening to when you listen to JRE in Canada in the winter? Snogan.
Oh my God. Maybe it's best I didn't come up with one this week. I can't compete with that.
Oh my God, that is such a dad joke.
That was awesome.
It's so bad, but it's so good.
Tony
So,
Hinchcliffe would appreciate that.
Yeah,
one,
that's
I think.
that's a Hinchcliffe pun for the ages.
He's kind of taken over. You're doing a Hinchcliffe when you do a pun at this point.
Yeah, it does seem that way. You could call it that.
Yeah.
So that's my Hinchcliffe Joe joke of the week. Shane, you better think of one for next week.
I will
I'm
think
sick
of one
you
for
not
next week.
having a Joe
I know.
joke.
I'm sick of it too.
Yeah, man.
I feel it.
But that's all we need to say. I think we're sitting at like basically an hour here.
Has it
so-
been that long already?
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Get at us on social medias. The Rogan Report.
What do you guys think of Proper 12? Have you tried it? Shoot
Yeah,
us a
love to get
message.
some feedback from you.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was a good little whiskey.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Shane. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
Take it easy, man.
Okay, we're going to end the show with my cover of rye whiskey that I recorded like 10 or 15 years ago using an open tuning, and it's just a rough recording that I did at home. It's not anything professional, but this is my version of rye whiskey.
Tremendous.
Jack of diamonds, Jack of diamonds, I know you of old. You rob my poor pockets of silver and gold. It's a whiskey, you a villain, you've been my downfall. You kicked me and you cuffed me, but I love you for all. It's whiskey, rye, whiskey, rye, whiskey, I cry. If I don't get rye whiskey, you will think I may die. I eat when I'm hungry, drink when I'm dry. If the hard times don't kill me, I'll lay down and die. It's tune up my fiddle time and rosin my bow. I'll make myself welcome wherever I go. Rye whiskey, rye whiskey, rye whiskey, I cry. If I don't get rye whiskey, well, I think I may die. Sometimes I drink whiskey, sometimes I drink rum, sometimes I drink brandy, and other times none. And if I get boozy, my whiskey is my own. And them that don't like me can leave me alone. The ocean was whiskey, and I was a duck. I'd swim to the bottom and drink my way up. But the ocean ain't whiskey, and I ain't no duck. But we'll get around up, and then we'll get drunk. Rye whiskey, rye whiskey, rye whiskey, I cry. If I don't get rye whiskey, I fear I will die. Rye whiskey, rye whiskey, rye whiskey, I cry. If I don't get rye whiskey, I hope that I die.
Very nice.